TVs. Super. It's 9 o'clock, so let's call this meeting to order. Chairman Susan, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to verify that we have a quorum, so I will do a quick roll call here. Mr. Thalwicker, the board attorney?
We do have a quorum.
Super. I'm here, that's great, not necessarily mentally. Chairman Susan?
Here.
Great. Mr. Geiger?
Here.
Ms. McWilliams?
Here.
Guys, thank you for showing up, and I say that facetiously because last time I did not, and you guys appointed me chair, so shame on you guys. Last time I was chair, they took it away after 2 meetings, so hopefully I only last 1 here. We will jump right into public comment. I see that I have 1 public comment card, and that's Catherine Galista. So approach. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Catherine Galista. This is my husband, Stefan Galista. We live at 11540 Point Drive, and we are requesting a rehearing of our evaluation. If you'll allow me about 5 minutes for our prepared comments, I would appreciate that. Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know how to work the timer, so I'd be...
Okay.
5 minutes?
It's about 5.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Historically, it's 3, but it's up to the board.
Yeah, there's one of you, so you're more than welcome to
All
go
right.
for 5.
Thank you very much. I will go quickly, but we've put a lot of work into this. I appreciate the time. We're requesting a re-review of our valuation for a home based on 2 reasons. Number 1, in Brevard County, hundreds of small homes like ours are overvalued, while hundreds of larger homes are undervalued because the appraisers use different size homes and scale valuation by unrealistic factors per square foot. The larger the difference in size for comp selected, the bigger the error. This disparity is unfair and is regressive taxation not consistent with the statutes. Number 2, there was no adjustment of our home's fair value for condition as required in section 193.0116. Number 1, adjustment for size. A review of our zip code 32952 indicates 40% of homes that sold in 2021 for over $900,000 are valued less than 80% of sales price. 6 of these homes were valued at less than 60% of sales price. More than 80 of the smaller homes in this zip code are valued at over 110% of sales price, whereas only 2 homes over $900,000 are valued over 100% of sales price. The reason for the systemic bias is the county appraisers compare different size homes and use unrealistically low values such as 50 to 55 per square foot. Something closer to the average price per square foot for the comp set eliminates the bias. You can see it in the chart. The line should be flat and it slopes down. So this rewards large properties, resulting in lost revenue for the county, and it penalizes small homes. All right, so as my husband is a peer-reviewed, published career aerospace engineer and statistician, and he volunteers to help the county with the methodology. But since we're here to discuss our home, let me explain how we see this bias on our road, Point Drive. 11600 Point Drive, 6 doors down from ours, sold 4 months after ours. It has the same river-to-river location and lot size, which is a 1/4 acre. 11600, which had been completely remodeled, sold in less than a week to a real estate investor for $1.9 million. Brevard's appraiser valued 11600 at $985,000, just 52% of purchase price. 11600 is over 3,600 square feet, which is over twice the size of ours. Ours is under 2,000 square feet, and it's valued at only $69,000 more than ours. On the attachment, we've shown how Brevard County valued 11600 using our small house And not only did it not give an adjustment at 50 to 55 a square foot, it effectively gave no adjustment for the size difference. Section 193.0114 requires that size be factored into valuation. There must be some requirement for fairness, and this disparity should send up red flags. We are asking for a re-review of our valuation in light of the stark difference of 11,600 Point Drive, the most direct comparable to our house. Quickly, our point number two is there was no adjustment for condition, which is required in section 193.0116. We submitted the inspection report and photos to the appraiser and special magistrate showing our home had a major water event while unoccupied and on the market over 200 days. The seller or selling agent hired a mitigation company, and they had ripped out bathroom sinks and vanities in the master bath and guest bath upstairs and baseboards in the bedrooms and bathrooms. We were brushing our teeth in the kitchen sink for the first few months until we had the first sink put in. The garage ceiling and drywall have been removed and is still exposed. Additionally, the house had failed a prior septic inspection, yet no deduction was made for the difference in condition of the homes used in the comp analysis. We are respectfully requesting a re-review due to valuation of 11,600 Point Drive, 6 doors down, and given that no adjustment was made for condition of our home relative to the comp set. Thank you very much for your review and consideration. I'd like to leave you with a copy of my comments, if you'll allow me to. Thank you.
You can turn it to clerk normally.
Thank you. You nailed that in
Thank you.
under 4.5 minutes. So a lot of work went into it.
Thank you.
First of all, thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
We have an attorney here, and this is the first time I'm seeing this. There's a lot of data to certainly go over. Your request was a re-review, so let me ask the board attorney, is there a process for that? Not asking that to be done, but is there a process for that type of thing?
Yeah, petitioners or the property appraiser can ask for reconsideration of the recommended decisions. That would have to be done before today for a couple of reasons. The biggest one would be that we can't really hear a request like that today because it hasn't been noticed. We've got to provide notice for any kind of hearing, and it would be unfair to the other party, in this case the property appraiser, to make a request on the same day and expect them to be able to respond to it.
With all due respect, we asked after our magistrate hearing what our recourse was and what we were told is the hearing and then a lawsuit. So hearing, we were not instructed of any process before this hearing.
Well, certainly, assuming that the board does adopt the recommended decision today and makes it a final decision, you'll be able to appeal to the circuit court within 60 days, regardless of anything related to your request today.
That's at our expense, though, obviously.
I understand.
Yes. Okay.
So really to answer the board's question, the board can't take up a request like this on a procedural level because there hasn't been proper notice, really on multiple levels. I could get into the substance, but...
No, I appreciated that, and that needs to be finalized today. That one could not be tabled till a later date?
Not really. It would cause delays. We'd have to reconvene the board again, and again, it's an untimely request.
Okay, I appreciate any comments?
I had a question. Is it even within the purview of this board to hear the case or just to approve it being reheard?
The board could reconsider the special magistrate's decision, but it would have to be submitted before today's meeting, and today's meeting would then have to be noticed as a hearing on that request. Obviously, that wasn't done.
Thank you.
Any further comments? I appreciate the insight, and I'm sorry I was not there when that advice was given. Obviously, there is a...
And I have emails to support that we have tried to reach out to find out what our recourse is. And so...
No,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the first time. This is a lot of data here, and there is a process. And again, if we were to table this till later, I understand we have to re-advertise. reconvene, what would that do for the other,
The board could certainly adopt the other recommended decisions, table just this one, or however many there ends up being. But it would delay things, by several weeks, because we couldn't certify the tax roll until all of them are
got
done.
it, understood. That does make sense, yes. Okay, any comment?
Nope. You're good.
I would certainly appreciate, obviously, you'll be taxed next year. I'd be more than willing to sit down. I think we could look at this between now and then, but not only would there be issues with the larger scope of things, certainly to digest this data this quickly would be.
So well known that even our attorney did not know the process. With all due respect, we have tried, okay?
Well, it would start by meeting with us, and I'd certainly, and whether as a county commissioner, a member of the Value Adjustment Board, whether you're not in the district I represent, but your concerns and a lot of time and effort went into this, and I certainly value that. Unfortunately, the timing just is not advisable at this point. So again, thank you. Is there any other, I have one card, is there any other public comment?
I just have to follow on to say we are.
Sure.
telling you-
I don't have a card for you as board. Okay.
I'm
Sure, absolutely. Come on up. Give us your name. We'll certainly afford you the same 5 minutes, sir.
Yes, my name is Stephen Galista, and I first did just my street and saw this disparity with the larger homes, and I did one zip code 1 year. And I don't know, but you should not approve the property appraisers. There is a systemic error. 40% of the homes are undervalued, over 900,000. You absolutely should not approve it. The magistrate should have taken action. This board should take action. I recommend strongly, not just for my home, but for all these other homes. There's over 80 other homeowners who were grossly overvalued, and you have all the expensive homes were undervalued. So yes, absolutely, you should not approve it. And we did give the county notice. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, that will close the public comment section of the agenda. Moving on to new business, G1, adopt and finalize recommendation of special magistrate for petitions to the Value Adjustment Board for the 2022 tax year, approve the 2022 notice of tax impact, and authorize the VAB clerk to publish the tax impact notice.
Move to approve.
Do I have a motion?
All right, move to approve, and then somebody has to second it for conversation.
I'll second that.
There we go. And then.
Okay, any comment? Okay, let's, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay, it passes 4-0, and I skipped over one. The minutes need to be approved for the July 15th, 2022 meeting, so do I have a motion for that? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Great. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Back to G2, which is delegated authority to the VAB clerk to deny petitions for non-payment if not paid by the deadline of March 31st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Passes. Yes. Chair. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, under board reports, we have a discussion on petition 151.
I'm sorry. Yes, I see that. I went over yes, I will get back there at the end. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get us out of here early. Great. I'll tell you what, let me do one more and then I'll jump up there. So G3, approve and execute the certificates of the VAB for real property and tangible personal property form DR 488. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Passes 4-0. Okay, back on to Board reports, I'm jumping all over the place. The discussion regarding petition 2022-00151. Mr. Thalworker.
Thank you. This was an agricultural petition filed by Brevard County itself. I prepared detailed memoranda on this petition, but at the end of the day, to really summarize it, and I'm happy to go into as much detail as the board would like, but the board could not meet a quorum on this particular petition because the county commission members are required to recuse themselves, given that Brevard County is the petitioner in this case. So without a quorum, the board can't set a hearing. Without a hearing, can't hear the petition. So at the end of the day, this petition really just goes nowhere. It's a really unusual case with an unusual result. It actually put myself in an unusual position because the rule, somewhat bizarrely, puts me in a position of determining whether the board members have to recuse themselves or not. Not a normal thing for an attorney to have to do, but under the circumstance, I didn't think I had any choice but to find that the county commission members did have to recuse themselves. So given all of that, we didn't have a hearing, and there really is no outcome to this case other than the board can take no action on it. The county will certainly have the right to appeal to the circuit court within 60 days like any other petitioner. But there is one sort of weird quirk that came out of it at the end of the procedure, which is that there's a statute that requires the board, with respect to every petition, to issue what's called a written decision. Normally, that would just be the final decision that comes out of pretty much every case. In this case, though, there was no hearing, and there could be no hearing because the board couldn't meet a quorum. So in this case, the best I could come up with, and I'm not certain at all that this is correct, I think it could easily go the other way. Essentially, I prepared memoranda which explain why the board had to, why the board members from the commission had to recuse themselves, why we didn't have a quorum, why we couldn't have a hearing, etc. And I put that together in the form of what I'm calling a written decision, but it's not really a written decision the way the statute lays it out, like these final decisions that we have in all the other cases, because there was no decision on the merits. There wasn't a hearing, and there can't be, for better or worse. So that's really where we are today. I'm asking the board to approve the memoranda and the written decision document that I prepared to go along with it, which really at the end of the day is kind of like, I would analogize it to, in regular court, judges recuse themselves, enter an order of recusal. That's more or less what this is. It's just an order or a decision by the board explaining what happened in the case and why we couldn't come up with, I would say, a compliant written decision, but it's the best we could do under the circumstances. But just for a little bit of background, because this is really, as far as I've known, a unique case, the Department of Revenue Counsel from the PTO division was weighing in on this, provided guidance toward the middle of the cycle, and so they were involved and provided what guidance they could, but it really was a unique case, so even they couldn't really, I think, follow it all the way through to what happened or what should happen in the end. But yeah, at the end of the day, the board can't take any action, so that's why the result is the way it is, with sort of a lack of a typical outcome. So the final thing I want to add is, and this is really just to help the clerk, because with respect to every petition, the board has to either characterize it as granting, denying, settling, or withdrawing. None of that happened here. The closest thing I could say is we didn't grant the relief the county requested, so in a practical sense, it's the equivalent of denying the petition, but that didn't happen on the merits, so it's not totally accurate. So if we have to characterize it, and I'm not certain whether we do or not, I would say it would be denied. But again, that's not accurate because that's not what happened on the merits. It simply is the result of not being able to have a hearing.
So are you looking for a motion to approve the memorandum and the written decision by the attorney of the board? Is that
Yeah,
what
and that would be the equivalent of a written decision for this particular case.
Okay, I understand it's unique, and I appreciate the communication. Whether agree with it or not, you're the arbiter of this, and all the way up to state statute. I agree. I appreciate that. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the memorandum
Move to
and
approve.
written decision.
Second for discussion.
Yep.
Two questions. I don't even understand the purpose of the petition. I've kind of taken an interest in this because it's a county-owned property. I don't know that the classification matters because they're not paying tax on it anyway. Does that play into this at all as to the why this petition is here?
We never got to the substance of it.
Okay.
And I haven't really reviewed, nor would I necessarily review the substance
Until
of it.
it's-
That's really not my role, so
Okay.
I can't
Just
answer
curious.
that. And
And-
just to add one more thing, just to try to keep this as simple as possible, because this may well go up on circuit court review and may be reviewed by other bodies. Because of the recusals in this case, it would probably be best for the board to limit the discussion to the issues related to recusal, quorum, and not being able to hold a hearing. Getting into the substance, the underlying merits of the
Fair
case,
enough.
the board couldn't get into that, so I would recommend against discussing that.
Okay. Another question, which isn't
Go
asking
ahead, Mr.
questions
Geiger.
about the merit of the case. Could another value adjustment board or special magistrate from another county hear this? And could we facilitate the petition by doing that?
It's a creative idea. I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah, I've never considered that, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be allowed.
okay. Thank you.
Real quick, being the fact that this kind of fell on, I think it was because Ms. McWilliams was not approved yet, and you didn't have the 3 members and stuff like that. Is there a way that, in a normal function, even if the county commissioners were not present, the 3 should be able to give a quorum, but it was because of the circumstances that were there? Is that kind of what you're?
VABs have unique quorum requirements. We've got to have not just 3 out of 5, but also 1 from each sort of category.
Oh,
So without at least 1 county commissioner, even if we had 4, we wouldn't have a quorum.
so there's no way to say, hey, let's look at the process and see if we can improve it, because that's the letter of the law, and that's how it is. So it's
Exactly.
a unique situation that puts them into circuit court. Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I needed.
Chairman, may I approach?
Yeah, I'm
I have
okay.
no problem. Just get, you're more than welcome. Just give us your address and title.
Okay.
You're absolutely welcome.
Dana Blickley, property appraiser, 3425 Heron Lane is my personal address, 400 South Street is my business address. I just want to make sure I understand the action that the attorney is asking the board to take. So I understand this correctly, you've indicated that the board has recused themselves? Has that happened?
Once if and when the board.
Sir,
Oh, sorry.
questions that run through the chair.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I thought
You work for us.
I understand,
Which
absolutely.
is questionable based on the memorandum we have, but, so the motion is to approve the memorandum, which is public record, is it not? It has been for quite some time, as well as the written decision. Is that what you were looking for? That's the motion on the table.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you've had access to both. Have you?
We got that at 4:30 last night, yes. I'm just asking.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that late. I apologize.
That's okay. We do have it. I appreciate it. My question is, are you recusing yourself? Based on this memorandum, it says in several memoranda from your attorney, it indicates that you have no choice but to recuse yourself. So I'm asking you if you are recusing yourself.
I am, the motion on the table is to approve the memorandum and the written decision. So,
So you're not recusing yourself.
again, that is what the motion was made, and I heard a motion and a second. We're about ready to vote on it.
Okay. So my second question is, will this be a substitution to usurp the magistrate weighing in on a record decision? So who is going to authenticate? You're going to approve this denial for yourselves? Am I understanding that correctly? That's the motion that you have, and that's what you're getting ready to do?
No, the motion is to approve the memorandum and the written decision by the attorney of this board.
Okay. Okay.
I think we have, I think we have, counsel has been pretty clear that we limit discussion on this one, and for once I agree. So,
Yes, sir.
I have any other questions or comments for the board?
I have many, but not at this time.
Sure. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So I have
Call the question.
a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to
Sorry.
abstain.
You wanna- Okay, I think, let me ask the county attorney on this one. I think you may need to fill out paperwork.
That's correct. If you want to abstain from voting, there is some paperwork. to-
And there's only
Okay.
a certain
And there's
reason why
only
you
certain,
can't.
you can't arbitrarily
Oh, okay.
abstain.
I just don't understand the issue well enough to make an intelligent vote, but I'll follow with the board and
Well,
yeah.
You,
Do you want to take a, let me ask you, do you
Yeah.
want to take a 5-minute pause, speak with
No,
the-
I just.
I don't want you to make a decision without all the information. That's
Right.
why I said you may want to wait. And
No,
there
I
may
understand what
be-
you're saying. It doesn't close the door, so I'm willing to go with the motion as is stated.
You sure you don't
I'm
want to
fine.
talk?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? Passes 4-0. Okay, I think this gets us to G4, grant permission to advertise and set compensation rate for special magistrates. Looked over that. Do I have a motion on this?
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. It passes 4-0. Number 5 is appoint legal counsel for the 2023 VAB taxing year. I'm going to pass the gavel to my right. He certainly has more experience than what I do chairing, and I have a motion.
All right.
Mr. Chair, can I
If you hand the
grant
gavel
this?
to me, you need me to run it, right?
Yeah.
So, do I have a motion to open up? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to open up.
All right, and then do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we're up for discussion. Mr. Tobias, you have the floor.
Thanks. Pursuant to Section 14 of the agreement executed on July 15, 2022, ending on July 15, 2023, with Aaron Thowitzer of Gordon and Thowitzer Attorneys Law, I move to decline the request for the appointment of Mr. Thowitzer as legal counsel of the Value Adjustment Board of Brevard County and direct the clerk to prepare all necessary documents to advertise for private counsel pursuant to Florida Section 194.015 and the Florida Department of Revenue Rule 12D 9.008 for consideration at the next Value Adjustment Board meeting or in the event that there is no meeting before June 1st, 2023 to advertise on that date. Basically, this is a request to open this position open, and Mr. Thowwicker may be the person chosen, but certainly want to open this up and see if there are any other attorneys that would be willing to do it. That's the motion. It's nothing against Mr. Thowwicker. I just would like to put this out and see if anyone else is interested in this position. So that's where I am. That's what this motion entails, and I'd love to entertain any questions if anyone has any.
So just so I can understand, the item is going to be to table what we are, which is the appointment of the legal counsel, and then put it out to basically bid before we would appoint.
Yes, I believe it'd be more in the line, even though statutory is a little different, I think it'd be more of an RFQ than a
right.
bid.
So an
But that's
a
what the motion,
30,000 foot view.
that's what the motion contemplates. That is correct.
Can I ask the legal counsel, is that going to leave us unprepared or unrepresented during the time? Since right now we're asking for is there a contract due date that has to be approved by? And does this put that into that? And how does that work? Since I'm seeing this for the first time.
I believe my contract would run through, off the top of my head, I think it's the middle of June or July.
July 15th, 2023.
Yeah.
I
So
have the
that's plenty of
contract.
time to
right
get a RFQ out and go through that process, correct?
The most critical thing would be for the board to have an attorney appointed by the very beginning of the organizational meeting next year,
Okay.
which is typically in August. So the board will have to reconvene. Well, I suppose the board wouldn't have to. As long as someone is appointed that morning, at the very beginning of that meeting, the board would be compliant.
And then to ask the next question so is this, because I remember approving you recently, right? Is there a contract that is 3-year contract, or is it every year that we have to appoint you? Like, how does that work?
I've been on 1-year contracts with 1-year optional extensions.
Okay, so you went through that, and so the last contract was for 1 year. This is the opportunity, and we would have gone to renew you. Okay, all right, so there's no legal perspective that we're going to be in jeopardy because we will have legal counsel. There is enough time to go out to RFQ. Who administers the RFQ for us? Who is the?
It would probably be the VAB clerk.
The VAB clerk, and then we would, we recently, because I think I remember the last time we did this, we went out to a similar situation and we brought back and you had won that contract and we came back, right? Is that what I remember?
Gosh.
I think,
There was
Right.
when I changed law firms
Okay.
about 5.5 years ago, I think that's the last time the board, I don't know if it was an RFQ, but something similar to
Okay.
that, yeah.
all right, so the motion on the table, is there anybody else that has discussion, questions as far as, I was just trying to lighten up the process of the who, what, when, where, why. Does anybody else have any other questions on the topic? Any other discussion? Mr. Geiger?
Frankly, I've been on this board longer than anybody up here. Not that that means anything, but I've observed Mr. Thowitzer. We had a fairly lengthy discussion within the last year
Yeah, I remember.
about this. I thought that covered all the contingencies and the questions that were up, and we all agreed to his new fee and to continue with his services. So this catches me a little off guard. I would not support the motion for whatever that's worth.
Okay, and just for purposes of, next set of purposes, we are under Robert's Rules of Order for small boards, right? New Robert's Rules of Orders. So the chairman actually in a tie vote would count as two in a tie vote, is that correct?
It's tiebreaker, yeah.
Tiebreaker would go to the chair. Okay, just because I wanted to get through that. Okay, so setting up that as a piece, if we're renewing the contract and I'm all about transparency, I would ask Mr. Tobias, would you be looking for that contract to just be every year? Or would you entertain having the next one go for 3 years? Does that make sense? So that, there's an appointment every year to avoid this, because that's standard policy for many of our appointments.
No, I get it, and I understand the question. Just to be clear, this was a 1-year contract. So, Mr. Geiger, we're fulfilling the full length
Yep.
of this contract.
I understand.
So there's an option for renewal, and
Right.
that's what I'm saying, put it out. Would so I'm not fully versed on the requirements for a contract. I don't know that if in here we're allowed to do a 3-year contract. If the state gave us the ability to do that, I would have no problem doing a 3-year contract.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Tobias. And the reason I say that is because many other firms may not entertain looking at this or something like that, just based on the fact, because when you put 1-year contracts out there, they don't entertain that fair. It gives them a better opportunity. So with that, if there's any other discussion on the topic, any other discussion? No. All right, I'd like to call a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Post.
Okay. And I think that takes care of it. I can hand the chair back to Mr. Tobias. And I just wanted to make sure that we are all in the same understanding that yes, ma'am. Would you like clarification on what we just did?
Commissioner Tobias, Chair Tobias,
Yes.
made the motion, and I didn't hear a second.
You can put me down as second.
Okay.
I apologize for that. I did also want to say that in Robert's new rules of order and with a small board like this, just so you know, Chairman Tobias, you have the ability to make motions. So it's not like what we deal with in other places. So you can do that if you
I
need to.
appreciate it. The sooner I can get rid of this gavel,
I
the
think you're
better.
doing an amazing job.
I appreciate it. Okay, and it's not on the agenda, but I do want to give everyone the opportunity. First of all, for the citizen members, I really appreciate you guys showing up. It says a lot that you care this much about your community, that on a beautiful day, you show up first thing in the morning. Not that we have to be here, and the fact that I'm not always here. The fact that you come here, I
that.
greatly appreciate it. And nothing, Mr. Thalwicker, I'm giving my board report first here, so I'm going to pass it down, give everyone the opportunity. I really appreciate your service, and we may continue with your service. I understand that this is there wasn't precedents to fall back on. And so, a coin can flip on either side, and sometimes, you're not always happy with the side that it lands on, but I appreciate you going through the work that entailed. So that's my brief board report. I should always go last, but we'll start over to my right. Citizen member Tracy McWilliams, anything you want to add to the
I do
meeting?
not have at this time.
Okay, thank you, again, thank you so much. Mr. Geiger?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Thalwitzer?
No further report.
Super. And Chair Susan?
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Today is my birthday too, so I'm glad to see that you're on my, that we had this meeting. I could be there, and I think just as we don't really have to make the motion, but I would just like to say that I think you've done a great job as chairman, and I look forward to you doing it for the entire year. And if everybody on here is in favor of something like that, I think we could continue that route.
I've got the gavel, so there'll be no motion accordingly.
It's
So-
not, I just wanted to kind of reinforce in the event that there's any motions in the future to try to abstain from that, so.
I greatly appreciate it. So, hearing no other business, I close this meeting at 9:35.
All right.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.